Do you think you really remember the 1960s? Well, today I'm diving deep into the nostalgic time machine to unearth some of the photos, shocking headlines, and unbelievable events that whisk you back to the swinging 60s. Whether you grew up during this time or just wish you did, let's revisit these crazy, mind-bending stories that define this decade. So click subscribe and let's time warp to the mad glory of the 60s together. The Beatles take America by storm on The Ed Sullivan Show. On February 9, 1964, the Beatles made their first live American television appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, performing before an audience of over 73 million viewers, still a record for U.S. television. As John, Paul, George, and Ringo played hits like She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand with their signature mop-top haircuts, teenage girls in the audience shrieked hysterically, marking a definitive moment that kicked off Beatlemania and the British invasion in America. The next morning, America woke up to a new pop culture reality, as the Beatles and their music took the country by storm. Overnight, the Fab Four went from complete unknowns to the biggest band in the world, and the 60s youth revolution took flight. Twiggy launches an androgynous fashion revolution. In 1966, a startling new face and body stormed the fashion world, that of a 17-year-old British model named Twiggy. With an androgynous pixie haircut, huge eyes rimmed in thick lashes, a stick-thin build, and standing at just 5 feet 6 inches, Twiggy was a complete contrast to the era's popular hourglass-figured models. Yet almost overnight, her look defined the cultural moment. Life magazine called 1966 the year of Twiggy, as she ignited a mod, boy-like style craze. Stripped-down dresses and skirts showed off Twiggy's skinny frame, while false eyelashes allowed women to emulate her doe-eyed look. By crushing gender norms and celebrating extreme thinness, Twiggy shook the fashion industry with her blunt-cut bangs and defiant individuality. The Upstart Super Bowl debuts to a lukewarm response. On January 15, 1967, the first AFL-NFL World Championship game was held at the Los Angeles Coliseum, a matchup since christened Super Bowl I. With only 61,946 fans in attendance, over 30,000 empty seats dotted the stadium. The TV broadcast also failed to sell out, blacking out coverage in the Los Angeles area. In contrast to today's Super Bowl hoopla, fans and media did not yet grasp this experimental consolidation game between the established NFL and the upstart AFL. The host Los Angeles Rams felt so unthreatened, their schedule overlapped the soon-to-be-cherished national event. Led by QB Bart Starr, the Green Bay Packers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 35-10. An anticlimactic finish to most at the time, this inaugural Super Bowl would be the humble kickoff to what is now considered the greatest annual spectacle in sports, captivating over 100 million modern viewers. The Doors light a controversy on The Ed Sullivan Show. On September 17, 1967, the Doors made their first appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, performing their #1 hit, Light My Fire. However, Sullivan requested they alter the song's suggestive lyric, Girl We Couldn't Get Much Higher, to Girl We Couldn't Get Much Better, given concerns over drug references. Singer Jim Morrison defiantly sang the original lyric anyway, later claiming he simply forgot. As producers freaked out backstage, the live audience shrieked wildly over Morrison's brazen rebellion. Sullivan was furious over this poetic middle finger to censorship. He screamed, "You'll never do the Sullivan Show again!" at the band post-performance. True to his word, the Doors were effectively banned from the show, but their daring act of counterculture defiance won them street cred and cemented their legacy as ultimate 60s rebels willing to speak truth to the establishment. Star Trek beams progressivism into living rooms across America. On September 8, 1966, the iconic sci-fi series Star Trek premiered on NBC, starring William Shatner as Captain Kirk and Leonard Nimoy as the half-alien Spock. While the show's adventurous wagon train to the stars frontier stories enthralled some viewers, what was groundbreaking was its utopian vision of the future. At the height of the Cold War and civil rights unrest, Star Trek depicted a peaceful 23rd century society where people of all races, nationalities, and planets lived and worked together in equality and harmony on the Starship Enterprise. It was one of the first multiracial casts featured on primetime television. Prominent African-American actress Nichelle Nichols played Lieutenant Uhura alongside the Asian helmsman Sulu. Star Trek presented an aspirational, social justice-oriented future during an era fraught with racial and political divides, even receiving an NAACP Image Award. Though canceled after 3 seasons, it spawned a cultural phenomenon and science fiction vision that has endured for over 50 years. A presidential murder rocks the nation. On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated while riding in a motorcade through Dealey Plaza in downtown Dallas. As his black convertible rolled through the plaza, gunshots suddenly rang out. Bullets struck the president's neck and head as he slumped over towards Jacqueline Kennedy. The governor of Texas, John Connally, was also hit. In a gruesome scene captured on amateur 8mm film, the First Lady can be seen clutching her husband amid shock and panic. The president was rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital, where he was soon pronounced dead at age 46. Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine sharpshooter, was arrested for the murder, but claimed he was a patsy. Just 2 days later, Oswald himself was shot dead on live TV by Chicago mob figure Jack Ruby. 50 years later, conspiracy theories still swirl around this horrific assassination that stunned the world and ended Camelot. No single event impacted the American psyche more painfully during the chaotic 1960s, driving home that not even the president was safe from the violence and division plaguing America. The murder dashed the innocence and optimism the young JFK embodied in the early 60s. November 22nd, 1963 remains a heart-rending day that shook a nation to its core. One giant leap for mankind. On July 20th, 1969, NASA astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the surface of the moon and became the first humans to ever step foot on another world. As Armstrong climbed down the lunar module's ladder and onto the lunar crust, he uttered the immortal words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind," heard by an audience of over 500 million people back on Earth. The daring Apollo 11 mission captivated the planet and marked the pinnacle achievement of the 1960s space race between the United States and Soviet Union. The dangerous mission and its nail-biting climax as the Eagle lander approached the mysterious moonscape resonated both technologically and philosophically at the close of a deeply troubled decade. As images were beamed back showing the Earth as a distant pale blue dot, it highlighted a message of unity in the face of stark divisions plaguing America and beyond in the 60s. As Armstrong and Aldrin planted the American flag in the ancient regolith, for a brief moment, all mankind felt united in hopeful goodwill, as audiences around the world marveled that the impossible was now possible thanks to human perseverance. The moon landing still stands as the greatest event for NASA and what human potential can yield at its very best. Well, there you have it. The pop culture moments and historical events from the 1960s that you may fondly remember. From entertainment milestones to key political movements, the 60s were an unforgettable time in history. Let me know in the comments if I left off any important events from that decade you think should have been included. As always, thanks for watching.